for the royal appointment. It's been a while since I've been able to do that. Last week, we were left without a royal appointment, and I finally figured out why. Camilla had to make an emergency flight back to Transylvania in order to free her uncle Frankenberry from the oversized marshmallow that he was stuck in. It was all hands on deck. Every little bat just away at that marshmallow till they could carve out a space for him to get out of. And yes, that is entirely accurate. I really thought that they had figured out that I was doing these videos, and I got on a banned list. But you can't hold me down! People demand it. What's Camilla talking about this week?
Prince Andrew. The Waleses must look for another property in the royal portfolio.
AKA, Andrew is a parasite who they can't get rid of because he probably knows where the bodies are buried. Metaphorically speaking, I think.
Reports suggesting that the king has given the Duke of York a stay of execution at the Royal Lodge are intriguing.
Intriguing is a word for it.
The monarch has apparently come to a deal with his brother over a back and forth about the 98-acre Windsor property, allowing the Duke to continue living in his home of more than 20 years.
Let's talk about the wording of this. And here's a more recent headline from the Mirror. Charles allows disgraced Prince Andrew to stay at the Royal Lodge after striking deal. This benevolent ruler allowed his brother. It's interesting that it's not framed as a disgraceful moment where King Charles shows his lack of backbone in getting rid of his disgusting brother.
But he's a deal maker. He's allowing it.
There are tons of repairs that have to be made to the Royal Lodge, which is apparently supposed to come from Prince Andrew and not taxpayer funds. And then she says this, there's a question of where this money will come from, because his nearly £250,000 allowance has been cut by the king. And here is some interesting word choice. Listen to this.
And spent a rumored £12 million on an out-of-court settlement with Jeffrey Epstein's victim, Virginia Giuffre.
Only Jeffrey's victim? What an interesting revisionist history. Because this makes it seem like he was just helping a friend out and not that he was a participant in the deranged, disgusting behavior. And it bears repeating that Camilla writes a ton of pieces that shows that she is a TERF, including this op-ed where she says women are being erased by trans extremism. She considers herself a feminist in the sense that she supports women. But then in a moment where she could have stood up and just stated the facts about what happened to Virginia at the hands of the Duke of York, she totally folds, falls apart like a cheap suit. I am obviously a white woman, but this is one of the reasons that people will say that white women are the most dangerous to social movements. Little American history lesson, look at women's suffrage. After that is another very juicy line.
He is perhaps in a better financial position following the death of his mother.
I say, what now? Here's another article, and while I am no fan of Tom Sykes reporting most of the time, this headline is actually one of the more accurate ones. Because yeah, Andrew gets all the privileges of royal life without actually having to do any of the work. In it, he says there's been speculation among friends and gossip that his financial situation is actually not that bad, and that the multi-million-pound settlement was written off in his mother's will. Which, reminder, we don't get to see her will for another 100-something years. I don't remember the exact timeline, but it's going to be a good while. Literally cryo-freeze me and keep me alive, bring me back, defrost me for that moment. If true, this would put Andrew in a better financial situation to stay in the Royal Lodge and make repairs. And that leads me back to that curious moment where William and Kate are driving very publicly with Prince Andrew in the front seat. A lot of articles came out after that. This was not Prince William's choice. He did not want to do it because, again, Andrew is radioactive. It's been said that William and Kate have their eye on the Royal Lodge. I mean, it sounds befitting to a future king and queen. There's also been talk that, of course, they don't want that place. They're very happy with their 4-bedroom cottage. No matter, this moment was seen as either a potential consolation prize. Andrew, you move out of the Royal Lodge so William and Kate can move in, and we will let you start doing some public appearances. You won't be a total pariah. But now that he seemingly has the Royal Lodge, what's in it for the British monarchy? Again, the only thing I can think of is that Randy Andy has some secrets that they would not want getting out. Back to the royal appointment, Andrew still has 55 years left on his 75-year lease. His numbers are always so bananas. It's also so totally strange for Prince Andrew to have precedent over where he lives over the future king and queen. Make it make sense. We are going to leave Camilla for a second and finish up on the Daily Beast article. This is the part where I nearly threw my computer across the room. This is from a friend of the disgraced Prince Andrew. He said that he has benefited from the comparison to Prince Harry, saying, quote, "Unlike Harry, Andrew has done everything he's been asked to. And Charles realizes that. He hasn't written a book. He hasn't given interviews. His," parentheses, Andrew's, "primary concern has been to protect the monarchy. He is intensely loyal to the monarchy." End quote. He's not loyal. He is literally effed without the royal family. It's very interesting what constitutes loyalty and what gets you cast out of the family. Leaving after receiving little to no help to protect your wife and family from the media? Bad. Writing a book, a memoir of your life? Terrible. Best friends with a predator? Making potentially shady home deals when you are trade envoy for the UK? Having an SA claim brought against you? Totes fine. That's not embarrassing to the British royal family as long as you keep your mouth shut. It says way more about the firm than Harry and Meghan that they continue to acquiesce to this man's desires. The only thing slightly more shocking is how this is framed as not a loss for the king, not a weak moment, not a sign of where his reign might go. No, he was just kind to let his brother have a home on 98 acres that he definitely does not need and certainly does not deserve.